What speaker wire should I use? Here's a factual guide to help you choose the right speaker wire for you. Welcome to another Tech Tip series here at Mr. Carlson's Lab. If you'd like to stay current in this Tech Tip series, where I share all sorts of interesting electrical knowledge, definitely subscribe and hang around. I've got many more tech tips coming in the near future involving both modern and antique electronics alike, both audio and RF related. So lots of great stuff coming. In this video, I'll also share a very neat tool that takes the insulation off most gauges of wire with no adjustment. It just removes the insulation perfectly every time. So I'll share that with you, and I'm going to also show you what speaker wire to avoid. Let's get started. I'm a pretty serious audio fellow myself. In fact, I'm so serious about audio that I designed my own amplifiers for me. So here's a picture of an amp that I designed for myself quite some time back. In fact, I've designed many amplifiers for me. No, the picture is not enhanced and it's not AI. That's an actual picture of the amplifier in service. And the background that you see here on the intro is not AI'd as well. So it's everything you see here is real, as you can see. You know, that's all real all the way along here. So this AI stuff seems to be really confusing a lot of people nowadays. But no, it's just all real stuff here. Anyways, back to the speaker wire thing. So the whole idea of speaker wire is to deliver current from the source to the load. So the load is the speaker and the source is the amp. So we'll call this the amp over here. Now we have a run of speaker wire running to the speaker. And of course, wire in any length looks like a resistor, both sides. For example, say you have lots of Christmas lights outside plugged into an extension cord, that's say running to an outlet. You'll notice that that extension cord might be getting warm. That's because that extension cord is acting like a big resistor. The more current that you pull through that extension cord, the more that extension cord is going to dissipate, it's going to get hot. So in effect, the extension cord is turning into a heater. And the same kind of thing applies for any length of wire. So say you have an amplifier that is, delivering quite a bit of current to the load, right, which is your speaker, whether it be 8 ohms, 4 ohms, or whatever. If your audio, it could be 2 or 1 ohm even. 1 ohm is like a dead short. That's pretty rough for an amplifier to drive. You need to have relatively thick wire for that, because if not, the length of the wire that you're running to the speaker starts to actually look like a chunk of the speaker without, I guess you could say, it being wrapped around a magnet. So that's a completely different thing. So when you're starting to deal with 1 ohm stuff, that's really, really thick wire. You need to be running in lengths like that. But for most audio systems, a regular type of wire is absolutely fine. Now, I know a lot of audio people out there like to really spend money on their cables, and that's up to you. People are, I guess you could say they look for bragging rights, and they want, the most expensive wire that they can find. Whether there is going to be a difference in that wire compared to a standard piece of copper wire, well, let's just put it this way. So first of all, look at it like this. The wiring in your house is 14 gauge. So the wiring in your wall from the breaker panel to a wall outlet is number 14 too, right? So it's basically 2 wires and a ground in the center, an earth, an actual, usually a bare copper wire in the center. That is running to a breaker that's rated at 15 amps. So you have a 120 volt source that can deliver 15 amps of current. What is that? 1800 watts. 14 gauge wire, 1800 watts. All right. Now you see people that are running, 20 watt amplifiers, 20 watt vacuum tube amplifiers to, speakers with, 6 gauge wire running from their amplifier to the actual speaker itself. Well, if you actually look inside the amplifier itself, the wire from the transformer is, usually about 16 gauge. Run from the transformer to the post, and then from that post to the actual speaker, they've got 6 gauge wire running there. Now, yes, of course, you're trying to get rid of any type of loss, but the loss is so incredibly minimal that what would you call it? Diminishing return. So at that point, you can really start thinking that pretty much any cable, 12 gauge, 10 gauge would max for most household systems. 10 gauge, you could pretty much carry the current from the amp in your house to your neighbor's yard or something like that with a 10 gauge wire. That's some pretty thick stuff. For example, again, 10 gauge wire in a household is used to power a dryer. That's 30 amps. Right, in number 10 gauge wire. And when you start getting down to 8 is for stoves, which is a 40 amp service, and so on and so forth. You're dealing with some extreme wattages at that. And of course, that wire will carry that current as long as the dryer is on. Or say your stove is on, you got stove elements glowing on the top there, you got, number 8 wire. And again, people are running 6 and 4 and stuff like that. That's pretty excessive. Now keep in mind that if you're running amplifiers in your vehicle, right, and say you have a really high wattage amplifier and it's driving, say, something like a 1 ohm load. So say you're driving a speaker that looks like a dead short. Of course, you're going to want some extremely thick wire there because, the wire, any length of a wire run will start to look like the load at 1 ohm, right? So you want to keep that wire about as thick as possible. But for household systems, you can get away with most regular types of wire. Of course, now the length of that wire will depend on whether you have to, drop down from, say, 14 gauge to 12 gauge because 12 is thicker, right? And, if you had a really long run, of course, you're going to be dropping. But, the losses, most of us are listening to our music at quite comfortable levels. Right? And even if you're cranking it up, really loud, chances are you're not getting past 100 watts without, really noticing it. Put it that way. 100 watts of audio power is very, very loud, contrary to popular, belief. So anyways, what I'm going to do here is I'll grab some wire that's absolutely fantastic. It's cheap to purchase, and it's flexible. It's good for outdoor use as well. It's good for high traffic areas, and you can pick this stuff up for next to Zippo. I'm going to grab some of that wire and I'm going to show that to you, and I'm going to show you that neat little wire that the device that pulls the insulation off of the wire. I'll also demonstrate that as well. That's a very, very neat thing, and I'm also going to grab that wire that's horrible. This is the stuff that I like to use. Absolutely fantastic wire for long runs. This is the 4-wire version, so it's relatively large around. I can carry both right and left signals, in basically one cable. For those of you that are worried about a thing called crosstalk, the system impedance when you're driving speakers is so incredibly low. Getting crosstalk is, is basically non-existent at this point. So not a worry whatsoever, with that. If it was high impedance, of course, that would be a different story because there's no shielding between these wires. But again, you're dealing with a 4 8 ohm system. So, basically non-existent at that point. This is known as SOOW or cab tire type wire, and it comes in 2-wire, which is a lot smaller than this, so you don't need to have 4 wires. You can have a separate right and left, and usually it's white and black and on each side, so they're color coded. The copper is usually very high grade stuff. Of course, this is a great wire. Now, this can be had for very decent prices. If you look around for this stuff, you can find it used, online auctions and things like that. A lot of the times construction companies will use this, and then of course when they're done with it, they get rid of the stuff. So you can get this for relatively cheap. Well, put it this way, a lot cheaper than most audio wire, let's put it that way. If you want to buy this stuff brand new, of course, it can become a little bit costly depending on where you're purchasing it, but if you look around a little bit, this stuff is actually very cost effective. This stuff is a 14 gauge wire, and again, I can use this as right or left. I can color code this however I want for 2 lines running to the speakers, right? So say this would be right and this would be left, right? And this bundles it up nicely, and really, really good wire. And of course, getting the insulation off is very easy with a tool like this. You just do that, and this comes right off. Doesn't even take any copper off. That copper is really nice stuff. I'm not sponsored by this company at all. These are in every make. They're very, very common. This is just a company that I picked it up from here. But yeah, they're kind of a. You can see how it would grab the wire and it just pulls this off, and it's really just automated. So you just stick a random 16 gauge, 18 gauge, 14, 12 in here and just do this, and it takes it off, and it's gentle. It doesn't take any copper off. There's no copper in there whatsoever. And very, very great tool to use, makes things easy. Now, of course, any of you that are electricians know exactly what this tool is, but I know many people I've shown this to, they've never seen this before, and they're, wow, look at that thing. But it's just, they're really, these things are a dime a dozen. You can find them at, pretty much any site, and online, or, hardware stores and things like that. And just a great tool for taking the insulation off of wires easy. So this is stuff I like to use, again, in 2-wire as well. Like, this is for longer runs, keeping it together. I like to use the 2-wire version of this as well. It's also quite a bit smaller, so you're not dealing with, such a large piece of wire. Absolutely fantastic stuff to be used as audio wire. I can't say enough good stuff about this. I've used this so much. Most people would come across this speaker wire and think this is absolutely fantastic and you're getting a great deal. Now, this wire here is really soft. It feels like appliance wire, like the old wire that you would find running to a clothes iron or a kettle or something like that. It feels like that. It has a really nice feeling jacket, and it's very flexible. Now, when you first, say you're about to take the insulation off of this stuff here, look at that. Doesn't that look like nice copper, right? And it's really soft stuff. Quite a bit softer than the copper wire in the cab tire. Well, there's a reason for that. You look at the end, you see that? That doesn't look like copper, does it? You can get that a little bit closer to the camera there. That's because it's not. This is aluminum wire, and it's copper coated. So if you were to join this wire, say you wanted to solder a bunch of this together, the ends won't take solder at all. It'll take solder on the copper, but again, if you heat it a little bit too much, and the copper actually comes off, then it won't take solder at all, right? It's very, very, very soft stuff, right? So I wouldn't suggest this type of wire at all. Be very leery. You'll find that the rolls of this stuff that you find is very light. So you're thinking to yourself, that looks like really nice copper wire, right? Sometimes they even have the ends, the insulation taken off so you can see it, right? But you pick the roll up and you're like, wow, that's a really light roll of copper for the gauge of wire. Well, chances are, if it's too good to be true, it is. I bought a bunch of this and experimented with this stuff. And yeah, I would just say, I could go on. I've actually done quite a bit of experimentation with this, but I wouldn't suggest this at all. So be very leery. This stuff is all over the place now. This stuff is very, very easy to find, and of course, I find it also very deceiving because they don't tell you. Well, most of the time they don't tell you that it's copper-coated aluminum. So something to keep a watch out for. And if I were you, I would completely avoid this type of wire. If you're enjoying these videos, definitely subscribe and hang around. I've got many more videos just like this coming in the very near future, and I also have many other videos involving electronic teardowns, restorations, troubleshooting procedures, circuitry design, all sorts of great stuff on this channel involving both modern and antique electronics alike. As I said, I'm just getting started, so lots of great content coming. If you'd like to take your electronics knowledge to a much higher level and gain access to many of my personal electronic inventions, creations, and designs, I have a new one that I am going to be releasing quite soon. I've got a really neat piece of test equipment that I'm developing, and I'm sharing the entire procedure with everyone in my Patreon electronics course. It's a cable tester, a very, very sensitive audio cable tester. I'm looking forward to getting this project done and sharing it with everybody there. Be a part of it. Be a part of the development and the thought process. I'm sharing that with everyone there. Check it out. I'll put the link just below the video's description under the Show More tab, and I'll pin the link at the top of the comments section. So if you click on one of those links, you can definitely check out my Patreon electronics course. It's a zero pressure place to be. You'll learn at your own rate. That's the best way to learn. And there is so much there. Projects for you to build, all sorts of projects, vacuum tube and semiconductor alike, teach you how to make your own circuit boards. It's just too much to mention. It's a great place to be. Check it out. All right, until next time, take care. Bye for now.